So the editorials first is the urban water system breaking? This editorial has been written in the context of water crisis in Bangalore, the IT capital. Bangalore, often celebrated for being a garden city, the IT capital of the country, and its pleasant weather, has been making headlines this year for facing a severe water crisis following the drought of 2023. The water crisis is also likely to hit other urban centers and rural areas. According to recent weekly bulletin by the Central Water Commission, even as peak summer is around the corner, even as peak summer is around the corner, most of the major reservoirs in the southern states of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana are filled to only 25% of their capacity or less. Is the urban water system breaking? T.V. Ramchandra and S. Vishwanath discussed the question in a conversation moderated by K.C. Deepika. T.V. Ramchandra and S. Vishwanath discussed the question in a conversation moderated by K.C. Deepika. This is not the first time that a major city in India has been hit by a water crisis. What does it say about the water infrastructure in our cities? T.V. Ramchandra. We see water crisis in cities because there is mismanagement of water in most parts of the country. Bangalore, for example, is undergoing unplanned urbanization. In 1800, in a city landscape of 740 square kilometers, there were 1,452 interconnected water bodies and about 80% green cover. But today, 86% is paved surface and the green cover is less than 3%. Now, more than 40% of Bengaluru's water requirement comes from groundwater sources. The city landscape should have been porous to allow groundwater recharge. The city landscape should have been porous to allow groundwater recharge. There is a linkage between surface water bodies and groundwater resources. The city receives about 55 to 60% of its water requirement from the Kaveri River. But if you look at the Kaveri watershed, during the last 4 decades or so, 45% of the forest cover has been lost. The Kaveri catchment area has 18% forest cover while 75% is agriculture. And then there is another factor which is climate change. As Vishwanath, in the 20th century, we have designed our institutions of water provision as water supply boards. We have to change the paradigm of governance to maintain the water management board, where water not only includes piped water from a river but also local water. The city has rainwater, groundwater, surface water, lakes, tanks, river, streams. It has wastewater or what we now call used water. All of these forms, if managed well, should be sufficient for the city. So, we have to change the governance of water through institutions starting from the river basin. We don't have river basin institutions looking at the landscape. Deforestation, sand mining. We don't have river basin institutions looking at the landscape, deforestation, sand mining, pollution, agriculture practices, and so on. We have to, we have to, we have to keep tabs on these and make sure that we do not alter the landscape irretrievably, so much so that we do not alter the land irretrievably, so much so that the river stops flowing or flows with heavy polluted water. At the city scale, we have to create institutions which are able to nuanced in their understanding of all forms of water and manage it as an ecological resource. That is the lesson that we have to learn from Bangalore and all the other urban areas of India. The irony that many are pointing out is that these are the same cities that are inundated during rains. Where are we going wrong? Again, as we are answering, again, the water management process. We have created institutions which operate as silos. In Bangalore, the Bangalore Water Supply and Sewerage Board is in charge of piped water supply. The Bruhat Bengaluru Mahanagar Palika, with the Karnataka Tank Conservation and Development Authority playing a role, overlooks surface water bodies. Groundwater is with the Groundwater Authority. Wastewater which flows into drains or lakes is nobody's properties. That is the issue. Wastewater which flows into drains or lakes is nobody's property, and wastewater is what partially causes floods. So it is bad planning and bad design of our landscape. The other issue is concretization and poor construction of roads. The other issue is concretization and poor construction of roads. Roads are becoming impediments to hydrological flows. They act as dams and barriers. TVR. First, as mentioned, there are too many agencies. Fragmented governance is the root cause of the problem. Second, most of these state agencies are headed by individuals who lack competence. I would prefer subject experts sitting there. If we manage water well, we will have sufficient water. With 750 mm of annual rainfall, we'll have about 15 TMC of water in the city. Bangalore requires 18-19 TMC of water. That means 70% of the water that the city needs is available in the form of rainwater. We need to harvest rainwater through rooftop harvesting in houses or by rejuvenating lakes and retaining the rainwater. If we re-establish the interconnectivity of the lakes, we will solve the problem of flooding. The water will move from one location to other and there won't be flooding. When we talk about floods, the government comes up with plans for remodeling, which is nothing but mismanagement of storm water drains. The government concretizes and narrows storm water drains, which is against the hydrological principle of any drain. The government concretizes and narrows storm water drains, which is against the hydrological principle of for any drain. There are two arguments regarding the Bangalore situation. One is to depopulate the city by creating new centers of livelihood. There are two arguments regarding the Bangalore situation. One is to depopulate the city by creating new centers of livelihood. The other is to create better water infrastructure. Where do you stand on this? After the 1991 reforms, considering the kind of capitalist model of economy that we adopted, urbanization has become irreversible. People were attracted to Bangalore because of the climate. Then they were further attracted to city because it became an economic engine and provided great livelihood opportunities. We will continue to grow. If we plan for future growth and set up infrastructure right from the beginning, it is possible to enhance livelihoods and livability. It is possible to enhance livelihoods and livability and also accommodate the population that will continue to come in. What is failing us is our inability to anticipate or deal with the growth of the city, especially in the periphery. I am optimistic that if we manage resources well, manage our lakes and aquifers and rainwaters, and treat wastewater, we can support an increasing population. TVR. For any city to be livable, we should not cross the carrying capacity. We should not cross the carrying capacity. Carrying capacity of any city is being talked here. Unfortunately, Bangalore has crossed the limit. There has been an 1055% increase in concrete area over 5 decades, 18% loss in vegetation, and 79% loss in water bodies. This shows that we have made a huge blunder. We can hope for the better with good management, but where are the managers? We have not trained people to cope with this situation which has risen because of 5 decades of mismanagement. I think we should opt for cluster based development. Our agenda should be to reverse migration so that youngsters can move to other districts. If we can shift industries to taluk headquarters, those regions will develop. Developing other parts of the country and state is a requirement. Why should we make sure that everything is concentrated in Bangalore and make it more unlivable? Much of the focus is on urban centers. There is not enough attention being paid to regions along the river basins. Isn't it high time that government starts respecting ecosystems away from the cities that ultimately help these cities thrive? The question I ask is, how do we create a governance framework which will protect our environment at the river basin scale? We had the Gadgil and Kasturi Rangan committee reports. We had the Gadgil reports and Kasturi Rangan report. Both were rejected by people who occupied the Western Ghats or by politicians who manipulated them to do that. Bangalore exists because the Kaveri. The moment the Kaveri suffers, Bangalore dies. When will Bangalore realize that it is essential for it to make sure that the Kaveri flows in a pristine condition and is full of water? This should become a common point of conversation among ordinary citizens. We should not be worried only about piped water or tanker prices. Those are symptoms. The real cause of the problem is environmental destruction. Unless we build the right institutions to manage our systems and resources and bring in expertise, we will continue to suffer. Every time there is a crisis, we see knee jerk reactions. Every time there is a crisis, we see knee jerk reactions. What should governments do to secure the future of our cities? As we well rounded institutions that should be able to understand the problem, define it correctly, and then frame long term and sustainable solutions. Well rounded institutions that should be able to understand the problem, define it correctly, and then frame long term sustainable solutions. TVR, the right institutions. Yes, but also accountability in the system. We are creating projects just to use funds. Unless we tackle corruption, planning will fail. Unless we tackle corruption, planning will fail. We should also elect the right people. We should also be mindful while electing. Hmm. On global indices measuring democracy, how are symbols allotted to political parties? Why the new enemy there and beyond generation is the future of fantasy? Congress synonymous with no sanctions against India for buying refining Russian oil, says US officials. This article by Universities must budge on the college autonomy nudge. Written by M. Jagdish Kumar, he is a chairman of UGC and former vice chancellor of JNU. Okay, so here we go. The National Education Policy 2020 envisions a future where college will evolve into autonomous institutions, enhancing their capacity for innovation, self governance, and academic freedom. To realize this goal, the University Grants Commission launched a new regulation in April 2023. Since then, the responses since then, the response from colleges seeking autonomous status has been unprecedented. 590 applications so far. Granting autonomy to college is essential for promoting innovation, enhancing academic quality, and fostering institutional excellence. Autonomous colleges can tailor their curriculum to meet the evolving needs of students and industries. They can experiment with new teaching methodologies and research initiatives, driving the frontiers of knowledge and contributing to social development. Further, autonomy fosters a culture of accountability and responsibility among colleges as they assume greater ownership of their academic and administrative decisions. This empowerment enhances institutional efficiency and cultivates a sense of pride and identity within colleges, in turn, motivating faculty and staff to strive for excellence. Rankings prove a point. The National Institutional Ranking Framework, that is NIRF of 2023, suggests a compelling case for the effectiveness of autonomy in enhancing the performance of college in India. In the colleges category, with 55 out of the top 100 colleges being autonomous institutions, the NIRF rankings offer insights into the positive consequences of autonomy on academic excellence and institutional effectiveness. Besides, in the top 10 colleges of the NIRF rankings of 2023 from college category, 5 are autonomous colleges. Having half the top spots occupied by autonomous colleges significantly strengthens the case for autonomy as a successful approach to achieving academic excellence. Higher education in India is witnessing a marked trend towards establishing autonomous colleges, with the number soon expected to reach 1,000 across 24 states and union territories. States such as Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, and Telangana stand out for their many autonomous colleges with over 80% of the total count. The presence of autonomous college in states with varying numbers such as Chhattisgarh, it is low, even the regions were completely fewer autonomous, growing realization. Even Even in regions with comparatively fewer autonomous institutions, there is growing realization of the transformative effect autonomy can have on higher education. Address the many post autonomy challenges. While the UGC champions the autonomy of the colleges, unfortunately, some universities have been reluctant to relinquish control for questionable regions. Therefore, addressing the challenges colleges encounter even after receiving autonomy from the UGC is crucial. Some universities impose limitations on the extent of autonomy granted to colleges. One common restriction is the imposition of caps on syllabus changes, often allowing only a fraction, typically 25 to 30%, to be altered. This constraint hinders colleges from exercising their autonomy, particularly that concerning curriculum development and academic innovation. One prominent issue that the colleges encounter despite being granted autonomy by the UGC is that they often find themselves grappling with delays from universities in recognizing this autonomy. Such delays not only hamper the efficiency of the operation of colleges but also undermines the spirit of autonomy as college as but also undermine the spirit of autonomy as colleges may still feel tethered to the bureaucratic process of the university as colleges may still feel tethered tethered to the bureaucratic processes of the university. Further, even though the UGC gives complete autonomy to colleges, universities frequently exhibit a reluctance to cede complete autonomy to colleges, particularly in critical areas such as syllabus design, the introduction of new courses, and the evolution of methods for assessing student performance. While autonomy implies the freedom for colleges to make decisions independently, the hesitation on the part of universities to relinquish control in these areas can impede the ability of colleges to innovate and adapt to changing educational needs effectively. This unwillingness may stem from a traditional hierarchical approach to governance within the university system. This unwillingness may stem from a traditional hierarchical approach to governance with the university system. Also, colleges may find themselves subjected to arbitrary fees imposed by the university for the purpose of affiliation. This approach not only undermines the autonomy of colleges but also raises questions about the transparency and fairness of such practice by the universities. Therefore, the state councils for higher education must ensure effective implementation of UG regulations on autonomy. Universities must recognize the importance of addressing the concerns of autonomous colleges within broader framework of higher education reform. They must streamline decision making processes between colleges and universities, ensuring that the autonomy translates into meaningful empowerment for the colleges, ensuring that the autonomy translates into the meaningful empowerment for colleges. Moreover, universities must embrace a culture of trust and collaboration with autonomous colleges. Moreover, universities must embrace a culture of trust and collaboration with autonomous colleges, allowing them allowing them the freedom to innovate and excel while upholding academic standards. By fostering a conducive environment for autonomy to thrive, universities must help college drive innovations, excellence, and inclusivity in higher education through autonomy. Eventually, the successful implementation of autonomy for colleges demands a concerted effort from all stakeholders to address challenges effectively and ensure a vibrant and dynamic higher education ecosystem.